Hello. Hello. Hello.
I just want to know if it is forecast. It's okay if we run 5 or 10 minutes over, but at 2:10 we definitely have to stop. Okay. So I don't know what time you want us to start.
Start at 10 past
At
then.
10 past?
Yeah.
And then, okay. Cool.
Less like an object, more like the weather. What is a document? Star and sky? No. Photo of star? Yes. Stone in a river? No. Stone in a museum? Yes. Animal in the wild? No. Animal in the zoo? Yes. There is no such thing as a document. The artist makes a work. The primitive expresses himself in documents. To be invisible is, in a sense, to cease to exist. We live in a world where there is more and more information and less meaning. The lifespan of a fact is shrinking. I don't think there's time to save it. The proof is in the pudding. The machines have gone soft. The secret of theory is that truth does not exist. The more I see, the less I know for sure. closer to reality we get, the less intelligible it becomes. No doubt the precogs have already seen this. There is a crisis in the spaces where the image lives.
In the spirit of the Poor document, today I'm sharing some text from my archive and work in progress. This is a process that involves copy-pasting, writing, editing, and reassembling texts. What is awful, Deleuze says, is being born in this desert and growing up in it. Masochism has nothing to do with sadism. Your politics sometimes feel like a metro ad, sometimes like a mass movement, and sometimes like a sham. Marxist, feminist, hypocrite. Desexualizing love while at the same time sexualizing the entire history of humanity. The result being some wasted paper. Nobody would rescue her, and there was no possibility of evading the reality she had set out for herself. That works out to a rate of 60 cents per hour for watching ads. Grave sharing is fine. There's no space for living people, let alone dead ones. Learning to please the only person who really matters. When you smoke a joint in Grand Theft Auto 5, lights get brighter, time moves slower, and your inner monologue drifts toward self-pity. Sometime after 4 p.m. on December 6, 1989, Marc Lapine arrived at the building housing the École Polytechnique, an engineering school affiliated with the University of Montreal, armed with a semi-automatic rifle and a hunting knife. He had purchased the Ruger Mini 14 on November 21, 1989, in a Checkmate sports store in Montreal, telling the clerk that he was going to use it to hunt small animals. Lapine was familiar with the layout of the building since he had been in and around the École Polytechnique at least 7 times in the week leading up to the event. Lapine sat for a time in the office of the registrar on the 2nd floor. He was seen rummaging through a plastic bag and did not speak to anyone, even when a staff member asked if she could help. He left the office and was subsequently seen in other parts of the building before entering a 2nd floor mechanical engineering class of about 60 students at about 5:10 p.m. After approaching the student giving a presentation, he asked everyone to stop everything and ordered the women and men to opposite sides of the classroom. No one moved at first, believing it to be a joke until he fired a shot into the ceiling. Lapine then separated the 9 women from the approximately 50 men and ordered the men to leave. Speaking in French, he asked the remaining women whether they knew why they were there, and when one student replied no, he answered, "I am fighting feminism." One of the students, Natalie Provost, said, "Look, we are just women studying engineering, not necessarily feminists, ready to march on the streets and to shout that we are against men, just students intent on leading a normal life." Lapine responded that, "You're women, you're going to be engineers, you're all a bunch of feminists. I hate feminists." He then opened fire on the students from left to right, killing 6 and wounding 3 others, including Provost. Before leaving the room, he wrote "shit" twice on a student project. Lapine continued into the second floor corridor and wounded 3 students before entering another room where he twice attempted to shoot a female student. His weapon failed to fire, so he entered the emergency staircase where he was seen reloading his gun. He returned to the room he had just left, but the students had locked the door. Lapine failed to unlock it with 3 shots fired into the door. Moving along the corridor, he shot at others, wounding 1, before moving towards the financial services office, where he shot and killed a woman through the window of the door she had just locked. He went down to the first floor cafeteria, in which about 100 people were gathered. The crowd scattered after he shot a woman standing near the kitchens and wounded another student. Entering an unlocked storage area at the end of the cafeteria, Lapine shot and killed 2 more women hiding there. He told a male and female student to come out from under a table. They complied and were not shot. Lapine then walked up an escalator to the 3rd floor, where he shot and wounded 1 female and 2 male students in the corridor. He entered another classroom and told the 3 students giving a presentation to get out, shooting and wounding Maurice Leclerc, who was standing on the low platform at the front of the classroom. He fired on students in the front row and then killed 2 women who were trying to escape the room, while other students dove under their desks. Lapine moved towards some of the female students, wounding 3 of them and killing another. He changed the magazine in his weapon and moved to the front of the class, shooting in all directions. At this point, the wounded Leclerc asked for help. Lapine unsheathed his hunting knife and stabbed her 3 times, killing her. He took off his cap, wrapped his coat around his rifle, exclaimed, "Ah shit," and then committed suicide by shooting himself in the head, 20 minutes after having begun his attack. About 60 unfired cartridges remained in the boxes he carried with him. He had killed 14 women in total, 12 engineering students, 1 nursing student, and 1 employee of the university. He injured 14 other people, including 4 men. Here we see the paradoxical nature of appeals to the state for justice. In other cases, it may be worse than tolerance. The father in a room by himself was the person-space configuration observed most frequently. A road rage incident can be a preview of how this person will act when he perceives a fault from you. My dad was a cop. You can read into that what you will. Charcoal that smells of petrol, probably made using accelerator fluid. The deselfing that occurs over the years is not obviously connected with the narcissist's actions. I cried when it was time to go back to school long after I was old enough to be ashamed. People who want to know if now is the time to buy a large tract of land in Madagascar in order to grow vegetables for the Koreans. A fresh definition of luxury and a renewed sense of confidence in the material rewards of the economic system that has just failed. Rumors say it will be restored with German money. I love expensive things, but I hate being around people who can afford them.
Technology is not neutral. We're inside of what we make, and it's inside of us. Photographic cropping is always experienced as a rupture in the continuous fabric of reality. The past can be seized only as an image which flashes up at the instant when it can be recognized and is never seen again. The document is a monument. There is no truthful document. Every document is a lie. This is real time. Images that do not represent an object, but rather are a part of an operation. Reality does not lie beneath the surface of appearance. Reality runs away, reality denies reality. The document looks back. Shovel your way out of the shit and into the truth. All photographs testify to time's relentless melt. The document, as we know it, has become unfixed. I double take on myself. I am once removed from myself. The medium is the massage. That the camera is both a mirror and a window. The relationship between what we see and what we know is never settled. I am a living, thinking entity that was created in the sea of information. we live in the afterlife of images.
There's a way. Hey, Sabina, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Hello, welcome to Social Media Breakup Coordinator. I'm going to start sharing my screen. 1 second. Hello, fantastic. I am here to train you on how to be a social media breakup coordinator. Social media breakup coordinator is a franchise that I started to help train participants on how to guide users through. There's a mixture of being a therapist as well as a CPA. We are here to help people mitigate and manage different kinds of conflict they could face on a variety of different platforms. What is important
the answers to know the sky does not inspire me, the airplanes do, the things that people make,
keep in mind
the ways that we ask it to organize itself for and against. This is what moves me, that ideas move, follow their lines and twist, cut thoughts and watch them fray. How does one idea grow around another? Not into, not one thing becoming another thing. How they twist and not. Think of the vines, the trees, the kind of leafy second bark. I have seen them from the train. I have been thinking this is amazing. I love it. I read that these vines are killing these trees, and so the symbiosis I imagined is actually a parasite. I love it still, regardless of the slow catastrophe. Or I am invested in the ways that it is unclear who gives and forgets and whether the exchange is equal, and I want to keep this metaphor even if it is false. Or I am of the opinion that certain things should be able to take what they want from larger structures, but I am hopeful that the vines are tactical. I wonder about sympathizing with the power struggle with plants. Or I think these questions are the wrong questions to suppose that there can be an equal
that will not help you engage or fight in any kind of legal battle. So with that in mind, let me walk you through what it means to be a social media breakup coordinator. You're not helping people break up with other people, you're helping them break up with social media.
This is where we begin, and the tangle of the separate things to the bound. It's easy to find sense there. You just take it as you choose going on. Someone needs to know that they rhyme. Someone needs to know that you can read them and that rhyme and understand it. Understand something about the world that finds it. I am at a symposium. I am talking about sounds weaving into and out of network connections, the processes of moving videos in and out of one another. Someone asked me about cutting. What does the cut, the edit, fit into a metaphor of weaving when you were talking about the real world, the real virtual world,
contain all of my emotional data from all of my participants. As you can see, there's been quite a few. I've also found it incredibly helpful to have different things like printouts around a sign-in sheet in a waiting room. I often recommend finding an office turret with a waiting room and having someone else sit there and sign in. Having a variety of different things on your desk, like folders, makes it look even more professional. Now, we will not be providing you with any of these materials. We can provide links as well as a coupon code for a variety of different post stores that you can buy these from. But much like Lyft, where you provide your own car, we are not providing you with any of these documents or with any of these supplies. You can buy them yourselves. We will, however, provide you with the legal documents. Now, I'll go back to sharing my screen.
Is a reminder that language operates in suspicious ways, coming together different meanings, they are rubbing one against the other, praying and perhaps at the same time becoming together, thinking of others as a together, knowing that
of a criteria algorithm quiz. Now, this quiz is to mine their social data and help provide any kind of feedback or information you could be giving them. What we have is a variety of over 23 different questions. We don't need all of the questions to provide feedback. It simply helps the client the answers to 5 different questions. What's important here to keep in mind is as you're reading this, they will be giving you their responses. And as you're reading it, like ELIZA, the therapy bot from the 1960s developed at MIT, you'll be guiding and asking users to explain their answers. So we'll be guiding them down a path. However, it doesn't really matter what you're reading. Like this bot, you don't actually need to understand what's happening. You just need to ask questions like, that sounds hard, can you elaborate? Or, I'm sorry, that's so difficult. Or, this isn't your fault, would you like to talk about it more? You can add these responses in as many times as possible and in a different order, set to random if you'd like. You are here to listen. This will provide an empathetic space for the user to keep talking while you are writing out their algorithmic feedback. Once they fill the quiz out, you can scan quickly and look for what is their favorite social network. That will determine what network you should focus on as you will be enacting the algorithm. How often do they use a social network will determine the severity of the answer, meaning rarely, muting is in order, frequent, more complex, things like that. I'll break down the proprietary aspects of our algorithm. The platform of choice will determine what kind of action you can engage in. And what's important is to see what is the platform they use the most and what is their favorite. You will often be denoting to what is used the most, though it will provide some more feedback to understand what and why and how. Oftentimes, it will differ between platform that is favorite and platform most used. Now, these will shape the kinds of actions you can suggest. So not all platforms are alike. For example, Foursquare functions like nothing else. I'm not even sure if it's used now. Should a client prefer Foursquare, you can talk about, do your best to talk about recipes, specific or follower specific. LinkedIn will always be professionally related. It doesn't matter when you follow-up question, the should always be tailored from a professional standpoint. Instagram is a major social network. Users can do a variety.
I cut a bit of my finger with a knife I sharpened yesterday, and not seriously, it doesn't leave.
Will be actually walking users
spin away.
through how to be more private, using their privacy settings to mute, block, delete, whatever from someone's phone. Now there are 5 groups. So once a network is selected, then you can find the root of the problem. What we're doing is we're building out our information architecture here. So the groups are important. A romantic reason will then denote what kind of, it will often denote a specific person and the actions taken against that person. A work reason could be a variety of different users that need to be muted, blocked, or creating a separate list to then separate a personal Facebook page, for example, from a professional one. A friend reason will often have similar solutions to a romantic reason, and family will often have similar solutions to a work reason. This is due to grouping and size. If there's multiple friends, creating different lists that involve different kinds of muting. Now, the network and group will determine the amount of results you can choose from. If someone doesn't have a reason, we will probably be giving them a lot of different solutions to choose from, since at this point, there's no clear way to come to an actual solution. Trying to be of a person or group will have the same thing. It's unfollowing and muting. Personal data will often fall back into being more private, and actively disconnecting will always result in, let's delete this from your phone. And again, with these questions, you will have all of the actual information you will need to determine results. The rest of the 15 questions are simply there to help the user feel like they've added enough data for an accurate result. You don't need as much as you need to know to help someone come to a solution on your own. And again, you're only here to mitigate for a series of problems, and the intricacies of those problems don't matter in your 15 minutes. If you feel like you need more time, or the user does, please point them to the app to extend your time interaction with them, or to sign up at a later date. And this is incredibly important. The longer you go over, the more that you miss your follow-up meetings, the more likely you will be kicked off the app and you will not be invited back to be a coordinator. Now let's give an example of this in practice. So we're only looking at these above questions, which are, what is your platform? What is your reason? And what brought you to the social media breakup coordinator? And then how would you define the seriousness of your problem? And how would you define the reason of the problem? So an example is if a user is pro-privacy, that's an indication that you can turn off any kind of geolocation across all platforms, add 2-factor, and suggest muting. If a user doesn't care, but the problem is in the range of somewhat annoying, abusive, you can suggest muting for any platform. It doesn't matter what platform they're on, that can always be the response. This will often override any of the other choices the user has made inside of their quiz. Blocking is suggested regardless of opinions on privacy for any problem denoted as harassing or abusive. You can, at this point, offer to block, mute, unfollow, etc. for your clients. You will need clear consent and for them to repeat back to you. Now, the term guidance is the one that will often need multiple kinds of interactions for the algorithm to learn how to determine guidance. Meaning, guidance can be a variety of different things that are incredibly nebulous to the social coordinator. So guidance should be an indication to ask specifically, and this is the only time you're allowed in your interaction with your client to have a follow-up question that is not on the quiz, which should be, oh, what do you mean specifically about guidance? Is it about, and refer to a previous answer on a question. So guidance could be, and then you can refer to why you're here, be on social media less, or be more private. These will be indications of what kind of answer you can give. So see less of a person, be more private, or be on social media less when it falls under guidance are easy. They often will always involve unfollowing or deleting a specific ad. The reason to determine how those results are, like arithmetic, can be patterned together in a personalized way. So to see this in practice, if someone selected Facebook and they want to unfollow a friend because it's a friendship problem, you can suggest delete Facebook from your phone and unfollow, but not unfriend, specific person to solve this friendship problem. How you present it with a clear and calm and empathetic voice will often cloud how algorithmically generated the response sounds. And how your session has gone, with it being incredibly calm and listening to the user, will feel like much more nuanced advice than it actually is. Thank you.